Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the GameCast NewsCast. I'm Snowy, otherwise known as Count Dracula. Joining me today is Joe Chip from the Joe Chip channel.
Good morning.
Yes, and today I was going to have Sully or Mark on as a third guest, but they're just unreliable, so it didn't happen. It's just not on, is it? I mean, I think Mark's going to see the new Dragon Ball film. Sully's just saying it's too hot. He's complaining about the temperature. God.
Oh, I saw him complaining about the temperature.
It's just not good enough.
He should be so lucky. It's bloody freezing here.
I know. Although today's moderately okay. It's more tolerable at least.
Yeah, it's better than it was yesterday here. I don't know if it was colder yesterday.
We actually had a slight sprinkling of snow the other day, which was quite funny. And then everyone
did actually
panicked.
Yeah.
Because we're British.
Ground to a halt.
When it snows, everything's gone wrong. Help!
I saw a news thing where it said, country that can't deal with a sprinkling of snow thinks it can go it alone.
Brilliant. Oh dear. Anyway, let's not get into the politics and let's go with asking you, Joe, what you've been playing this week.
Well, Sully would be impressed because I've been playing God of War.
Oh,
finally,
you've come back to it.
Yeah, I'm finally trying to get my way through it. I'm quite near the end of the main story, I think, but I'm sort of concentrating on some of the side quests now just to beef my equipment up a bit and whatnot, and then I'm going to finish it off. But so I've been playing that, thoroughly enjoying that. Fantastic game. I don't know why I put it down in the first place, to be honest. I think maybe when Spider-Man came along, I started playing Spider-Man. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but yeah, fantastic game. And I've also been playing a little bit of Fortnite very badly with my kid and some of his mates at school. All of them kicking my ass. It's really embarrassing. I'm getting my ass kicked by 9-year-olds.
Is it a bit depressing?
It is extremely depressing, yeah. And then they take the mickey out of myself. They were messaging each other the other day about how bad I was.
Oh.
It is, honestly,
that's quite funny.
Yeah, it would be funny if I was someone else, maybe. But yeah, it is quite funny, to be fair, right? You just got to, hold your hands up and realise that the baton's been passed, because my days of having, good reactions and being able to play Twitch games are pretty much over. I still play them, I still enjoy them, but I'm never going to be any good at them.
Not very good at them anymore.
No, exactly. And I was never that great in the first place. So, I think the highlight of my my first-person shooter days was back in the days of Unreal Tournament. But that's long gone.
Oh, boy. Yeah, that was a while ago now.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Well, so that's what you've been playing. I have been playing fuck all this week. The game.
It's a funny game, not heard of that one.
I know, I've been playing The Game of Life.
Yes, and you're just about to get a cat, aren't you? Yeah.
I've had too much stuff to do. I'm getting a cat today. And I went to a metal gig in Birmingham the other day that was very good. Well,
a who gig, sorry?
A metal gig, heavy metal.
Oh, a metal gig. I thought you'd mentioned the band, but you didn't. So.
No, the band is...
Who was it?
Well, the main band that I liked was called Powerwolf, and I think I've told you to listen to them before.
You have, yeah, and I think I did listen to some of their stuff. I don't think I listened to the whole album yet, but I have listened to about 4 or 5 tracks, I think.
Yeah. They are a very good band. They are a power metal band. This is going to turn into music section. They are a power metal band. They're very over the top. They're very aware of how over the top they are, and they play it very well. And it's real good.
That's always good to be aware.
Exactly. It's real fun. They're just... What I noticed most on stage, one, the singer, he is classically trained, and he sounds exactly the same live as he does on record, which is always good.
Sure
and
is, yeah.
For another, it's just 5 guys having a lot of fun. And that's exactly what I want to see when I go watch a band. I just want to see some guys
if they can translate
having fun.
if they can translate that to the audience as well, and get you to enjoy it as well.
They were having a lot of fun on stage, and you can tell that they just love what they're doing, and that's great.
That's good. Yeah.
And I've also been listening
to go and see them then.
Yes, they're great. They've just left the UK, unfortunately, but when they come back next, go see them. They're great.
I will do. I will do.
Yes, and I've also found another band called Alien Weaponry, which I also linked you to in.
Oh yeah, they're great. Yeah,
I love it.
I watched the one.
It's so good.
Yeah, I watched the one you linked to, and then I watched a couple of others as well that they did, and they sing in Maori and English as well.
Yeah, 60% of their songs and lyrics are in Maori, and that's, for those of you who don't know, that's New Zealand, the indigenous people there, and it is amazing. Like, I particularly love the video for the track that I sent you.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. It's a great video.
It's so well produced. It's brilliant. So if you want to listen to it, basically think Maori Sepultura, like early Sepultura. Think of it like that. But I saw
someone in the comments mention Sepultura. Yeah,
they're bringing in a lot of modern elements as well. So they're not just copying Sepultura. They're bringing in a lot of they switch it up to a lot of really great elements, modern and traditional metal, and just bring it all in together. It's real good.
And they're kids as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they're all teenagers, the band. Fucking what?
It's like far too much talent on show.
Unacceptably talented for teenagers. It's just not on. But yes, if I were to recommend 2 tracks to the people listening to this, I would recommend Kai Takata Tangata, Tangata. It's Maori. I can't say Maori. It's weird.
You butchered that, but I wouldn't write about it.
Yeah, it's fine. And I would also recommend Whispers is also a very good song. Yes.
I think that's one of the others I listened to as well.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, it's got a sample of an interview at the start of it, and the people being interviewed, well, the man being interviewed is a very prominent anti-Maori racist, being an arsehole.
I didn't hear that one then. I must go back and listen to that one, because I definitely haven't heard that. So I'm gonna have to give
go listen to that one. That's one of my favorites. But yeah, like, despite how the band actually look, they are of Maori descent. Like, the first song that I linked is actually, like, the story around it involves their grandfather. Like, he was part of that. So that's pretty cool.
It's an interesting story, actually, and apparently some people were giving them hassle about, not looking Maori enough, or something.
It's because they don't look Maori enough, because it's probably the people who get offended on behalf of other people because they don't know.
Exactly,
like, when I first saw them, I was like, oh, they look very white. But then I actually looked into it, and I was like, okay, they're Maori. That's fine. I didn't just assume that they weren't Maori. It's like, yeah, I'm just going to assume that those people are too white to be part of that culture. What? Okay. But they're a really good band. I love that so much. I love everything about that.
I concur. I was going to buy the album, actually, because I looked it up on Amazon, so it's in my shopping basket at the moment, but I haven't bought it yet.
I would definitely say that's worth a buy. Anyway, let's try and bring it back to a game. I can bring it back to gaming slightly, because I bought the phone I have is the Motorola X2 Force, and I bought one of the Moto mods for it because it was like half price on Amazon. I bought the gamepad mod.
Is that the one you mentioned when we did the podcast before Christmas?
I think so, yeah. It's the one that Jay in your Discord has.
Yeah.
Because he's got the same phone as me.
Yeah.
So I will provide a small hardware review of this while I'm doing that. Unfortunately, it doesn't work with everything. For instance, I have Revolt and Carmageddon downloaded onto my phone, because those are things you can get on the Google Play Store. And it doesn't work with them, unfortunately.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, that's really annoying. The games it does work with are mostly free-to-play games. There's a few. It works with Sonic 1. There's a few like Sega Mega Drive games that are on the store. You can either download them for free and then you can pay to remove the ads from them, which is, that's not a bad way to do it.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then there's a couple of other games, some of which are fine, some of which are less fine. It doesn't work with as many games as I would like, but the games it does work with, it's nice. The build quality of the mod is pretty solid, actually. It's really nicely made, well sort of put together, good materials. Very solid plastic. The buttons are nice and, responsive and lovely. But I wouldn't have paid full price for it.
Yeah.
The reason I wouldn't have paid full price for it is the very limited library of things you can use it with.
It's a bit like... Sorry, go on.
That's a bit of it's a bit restrictive to have this big thing and look at this great thing. You can use it as a game controller, but you can't use it with a lot of things. Like, it's not even a small amount of things that you couldn't use it with. There's a lot of things that could be used for it, but just aren't.
Yeah. And the technology I got for Christmas, I got a keyboard and mouse for the Xbox, and it's the same thing. It's great, it's fun to play around with, but there's only a very small number of games that you can actually play with it. And given that first-person shooters work really well with keyboard and mouse, you would expect there to be a lot more first-person shooters that work with it, but there aren't. So, it's good to have a play with. But it's a bit disappointing when you realise that actually I can only use it for 3 or 4 of the games that I actually own. So
yeah, Oh well, but yeah, the other reason I've not been playing a lot of games is because I bought the new Lego modular set and I've been building that this week.
Lego.
I just have the roof
you should
to finish
do some
off.
more Lego. Say again, sorry.
I should. I just have the roof to finish and then it's done, and I might make a video showing it off.
Oh yeah, do so. Yeah. I like Lego videos.
Yeah, it's got some really nice features, actually, this one. It's a garage, like a car garage. And then
cool.
There's a vet's on the first floor, like a little vet surgery. Yeah, just quite nice. It's a lovely little thing.
Take your cat there. Save you some bills.
Oh, dear. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons I've not been playing games this week, but I will hopefully be playing some this week when I'm not playing with a cat. Anyway, let's actually get on to the show and talk about the first story that we're going to discuss. Are you looking to get into esports, but you're shit at games? Well, have I got news for you guys. Farming Simulator is having an esports league made around it. Because of course it is. Of all the games you could have chosen, Farming Simulator.
Oh, right, okay, you've got to bear with me a second, right? Here we go. I'm going to put on my hometown accent now for this bit.
Oh, boy.
Right, and the first thing they tried was they were doing it with hay stacking. So you take a hay bale and you have to stack it up, and they were making a sport out of that. Great fun
to be fair,
for all the family.
To be fair, where I live, I am really not very far from rural Shropshire. So at my partner's university, they had an event, I think it was the year before last, where they had a tractor race where it was a race to plough some field. And a surprising number of the university students went to watch that. I think it was mostly
all the young
an excuse
farmers
to drink,
turned
to be
up.
fair. To be fair, it was mostly an excuse to drink by the looks of it. Like, I went there, we watched about 5 minutes of it, and we were just like, right, this is boring, let's leave.
I mean, I grew up in a small farm town. I mean, basically the town I grew up in, all the outlying areas were either farms or military bases. So it was basically soldiers and farmers, and most of the kids in my school, their their parents were farmers or farmhands or whatever, and they used to talk quite a lot of the time. They'd be talking either about motorbikes or Massey Ferguson. we got a new Massey Ferguson tractor this week. It's like, right, okay then.
Brilliant.
So yeah,
Anyway.
and you get a lot of that stuff, but yeah, I can't digitally. Really, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I do understand the appeal of Farming Simulator. It's the same appeal as things like Euro Truck Simulator, where you just sort of kick back and you're just relaxing while doing a mundane task. So
I definitely understand the appeal. Yeah.
Yeah, like the same kind of appeal as things like Viscera Cleanup Detail as well.
Not heard of that one.
Oh, if you like ridiculous OCD style cleaning, that's that. It's basically if you've not heard of it, it's basically you are the cleaner who is clearing up after a video game has taken place. So you are dumped into a facility, like an office or a space station or somewhere like that, and you have to clean up the carnage that has been left behind. So there's dead bodies, there's body parts, there's probably aliens, there's bullet holes in the walls, there's scorch marks, there's just loads of stuff everywhere. And it gets down to the point where it even wants you to pick up individual bullet casings and clean it all up.
So you're basically Harvey Keitel's character in Pulp Fiction.
Yes! Yes, you are. Winston Wolfe.
Yeah, that's the guy, yeah.
Yeah. Except you don't get two guys to do it for you. You have to do everything yourself. The funny thing is, there's some levels where you have, like, sentry guns, and you have to repair those. But when you repair them, you can set them off if you bring through anything metal. And you can get yourself killed. And then they just send in, quote-unquote, another cleaner, and you have to clear up your old corpse.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm not sure that's the game for me. I don't like cleaning at the best of times.
Neither do I.
So, yeah.
I mean, I have played a bit of it, and yeah, I can get the appeal of that, but that's specifically because I don't really like cleaning either. It's just a bit like, oh no.
It's one of the first jobs it's probably the second job I ever had was working as a cleaner. And I used to have to run to work from college to clean up at the end of the day because the shop would be shutting. And oh God, some of the stuff you used to have.
In the nicest possible way, I wouldn't want to do that.
It wasn't my favourite job ever.
No, but, I think, I appreciate people that do it because it's an important job that needs doing, but I wouldn't want to do it myself.
Yeah, needs must. It was a case of, some money.
Yeah,
but,
much the same way as people who work in abattoirs and all those kind of places. Like,
oh, my mate did. My mate worked in an abattoir for a while. My God, what a job that is. He was always falling asleep. I kid you not. He actually fell asleep one night in a pint of Guinness. He literally just fell asleep with his nose in the Guinness.
Great.
And we were like, is he asleep? And he was asleep. Because working in an abattoir is such physically demanding work. And and he used to get these cuts on his hand and they get infected. And they used to, oh God, man, it's not a good job. I wouldn't want to work in an abattoir.
Anyway, let's get back to the point. Got a bit off topic there. Although to be fair, this show is very much tangent hour. You come here for the news, you stay for the tangents. So yes,
which is just as well.
Yeah, it really is. Farming Simulator then has been given an esports league. It's being financed by the actual developers, Giant Software. And a total of, let's just go with quoting, a total of 10 teams will compete for the title of the Farming Simulator Champion, and the prize pool is €250,000.
That's actually not a bad prize pool, considering.
That's a lot of money, yeah. That's what I mean. It's like, this isn't an insignificant amount. This is quite a chunk of cash.
Here we go again. I might have to enter that. I think I might stand a chance there.
Oh dear. My dad learned to drive on a tractor apparently because he lived in really rural Yorkshire when he grew up. My parents did, so
He learned
that's
to
how
drive
he learned to drive. Yeah.
I'm not getting in a car with him.
It's all right. He drove all right while he was alive. He never crashed, so it's fine. Oh dear.
Oh man.
This Euro. I'm reading a Eurogame. We always have a reference article for these, just so we can show people. This is for the audience. We're reading a Eurogamer article, and it's full of puns. There's so many. For instance,
I saw some of those. Yeah, I was
Giant
reading
Software
it. I saw a few.
planted the seeds by staging a championship. Fuck off.
Do you think they were taking this story really seriously as well?
Oh, definitely. So yeah, they tested the waters with a championship last year, which you can actually watch all 2 hours and 26 minutes of a bit of it on YouTube, if you so wish, on the Farming Simulator YouTube channel, which apparently exists. It has 373,000 subscribers, apparently. Who knew?
Apparently, according to the story, it's really popular in Europe. Whether that means the UK as well, I don't know.
I can understand that. It's yeah. I mean, there's a whole genre of shit German simulators, so I think it's a thing that's more popular in Europe, specifically continental Europe, than anywhere else. But yeah, like Farming Simulator, it's become a sort of like that's become more of a mainstream thing. It was very much in that camp of shit German simulators for a long time. So yeah, but
whatever floats your boat, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. So the league will take place in a 3v3 mode, which is new to the newest Farming Simulator game. But we don't actually know what they're going to be doing for it. I'm going to suggest that it'll be a bit like World's Strongest Man, where they just have like a bunch of different events testing various farming skills.
It seems reasonable, yeah.
Yeah, so they'll have the
field
field ploughing that I went to the other year. And they'll probably have the hay stacking again. They'll probably do, I don't know, like sowing your field, like doing that and seeing how straight you can get it. I don't know. What the fuck else can you do in Farming Simulator? I've never played one.
Chasing a greased pig? I don't know whether that's part of the game.
I don't think that's part of the game. What used to be part of the game was really stupid physics, but they've got rid of that.
So the physics better now then?
I remember there was one year where they literally just took out, like, you used to be able to collide with, like, there's NPC cars that go around in the game to make the world feel a bit more alive. And you used to be able to collide with them and you'd have really stupid physics reactions, and then they just completely got rid of the physics of the cars so that they just sort of go around and they are basically immovable. Like, you can crash into them, but they don't do anything. Which is actually genuinely depressing. It's like the only good bit of that game, and it's just like, aww, it's gone now.
Oh man, it's not up my street, to be fair, and I'm not sure I'd be interested in watching it. Although, you never know. If you got, at the end of the day, if you got a streamer who was doing it, who was good and was entertaining, they could make it entertaining just by their own.
The right
personality
can make anything entertaining. Is the way I think of it. It's like,
so I better not play it then.
Well, oh dear. I think it's a bit like you have people like I don't know, Terry Wogan or Bruce Forsyth. Like they could make anything entertaining if they were hosting it. It's that kind of thing. You just need people like that.
Eurovision, you mean?
Let's not go that far. I hate Eurovision so much.
I knew a woman who hated Terry Wogan because he took the piss out of Eurovision.
I'm
sure there's people who probably hate us now for taking the piss out of Farming Simulator.
Well, probably, but we're allowed
we're not
to
taking the piss out of you. If you like it, you like it.
If you like it, great. I just don't have I just don't have the time or the inclination to play it. Still, I think it's quite interesting, if nothing else, that it's going to be an esport.
It'd be interesting to see if it takes off,
Yeah, I'm quite interested to see if this keeps being a thing, if they just do this one championship or if they keep it going. So I mean,
can you imagine if it becomes the biggest thing on Twitch? That'd be hilarious.
Oh, that'd be amazing. This is the new Fortnite, everyone. It's Farming Simulator. You watch, in a year's time, your son will be playing Fortnite. Not Fortnite, he'll be playing Farming Simulator instead.
Farming Simulator. Yeah. Have you heard that Microsoft's pirate thing, what's it called? Sea of Thieves, is currently at the top of the streaming on Twitch, above Fortnite.
What?
So I heard.
Oh, they've had. I don't know if they've had it yet. They're about to have a massive overhaul patch.
Yeah, I've heard this. Yeah.
And it's actually to the point of they're changing the structuring of the game's files, and you have to re-download the entire game.
Bloody hell! So it is big then. It is a massive update.
Yeah,
be interesting to see what happens with it, because it's an interesting concept.
I've heard it's had a lot more done to it recently.
Yeah, they've changed a lot.
I've heard it's got a lot better. Yeah, it's also currently 50% off apparently.
Yeah, although I've got Game Pass, so it's on there. So
yeah, is that one of the things that you get on? Oh, do you use it on Xbox then?
Yeah, I'll play it on Xbox. Yeah.
When is Game Pass coming to PC? Because they've said it's coming to PC properly at some point.
I think it's only a matter of time. I think, but they've got to get all the deals in place. I swear
they said it was happening this year.
It's going to happen. If it doesn't happen, I will eat my own foot on YouTube.
You heard it here first, guys.
Well, all right, I might just suck it. I'm not going to chew it.
Okay. And on that note...
So look forward to that one, folks.
Yeah, definitely. On that note, let's conclude that segment. Yeah, Farming Simulator. If you're really interested in Farming Simulator, which apparently at least 375,000 people are on YouTube, then there's going to be an esports championship for it. So if you're interested in that, keep an eye out. And let's move on. So for those of you who like JRPGs, you'll be probably aware that Octopath Traveler came out on Nintendo Switch last year, and it is very, very good. Well, I think it is anyway. I think it's a lovely game. And Mark on GameCast gave it a very good review as well. Rightly so.
And it's very popular, isn't it?
It is. It's pretty much a return to form when it comes to Square Enix and JRPGs, because, what kind of shit they've been pumping out, apart from, Final Fantasy 15 was good, but it wasn't, it very much strayed away from the JRPG territory in quite a few ways. And, then there was things like Final Fantasy 13, which, the less said about the better.
Oh, but Octopath Traveler did something different, didn't it?
It did. Sorry. It did something different. Yeah, it's so good. Because it mixed the old and the new, brought in a lot of particularly visual elements from the modern era of gaming, and combined them very nicely with the old.
Somebody out there in gaming actually used some imagination and tried to create something unique and different.
I know. And it seems that that's going to stay unique, because Square Enix have put a trademark on the phrase that they have coined HD-2D. I was pretty pleased with that segue. That was quite good.
Keep it up.
Wow, I surprised myself. And then I just railroaded it into the ground by pointing it out. Anyway, so...
We're pros on here,
Yeah, exactly. So, the particular style that Octopath Traveler goes with is basically they have a load of well, most of the world is 3D modeled, and it's all, put together in, traditional, how you'd expect even a modern game to be put out with 3D models. But then it has some 16-bit style textures stretched over it. Basically, that's a very simplified way of putting it. And then all the characters are done with sprites. Very gorgeous sprites, I'll admit. It's all... Oh, I love that game so much. It looks so good.
I've not played it, but I've watched some footage and, seen other people
honestly
play
one
it.
of the best-looking games of last year, in my mind.
It is beautiful. It's a lovely-looking game. I love the snow scenes in it. I love snowing games anyway, but I think it looks lovely.
I really like the water side scenes, actually. Like, the water in particular, I just really like the way that that's done. And I just think it looks really good.
Stills of it, it's one of those games where stills of it you could just put up on the wall as artwork because it's just, it's just so beautiful.
But then you could say the same about Fallout 4 and things like that. When the game is static, it looks really nice, but it's like Fallout 4 when it has to move, it doesn't look as good. Whereas Octopath Traveler really, it stays looking good. So it's a difficult thing to do. It's a surprisingly difficult thing to do to make a game look consistently good.
And you say that one does. So
it does, exactly. But yeah, so we've talked a few times before on this show about companies trying to trademark a term, and well, they're trademarking a term or they're trademarking a particular style of something, and a lot of the times it's been a bit, these kind of things are too common use for it to be really acceptable for a trademark. And most of the times, actually, these kind of trademarks as well have been sort of kicked out and rejected. Do you think that this might be an exception to that? Because for one, they've actually got the trademark.
Yeah.
For another, do you think it's distinct enough to actually warrant it?
I'm in two minds about this one because I'm not very keen on the idea of a company trademarking a way of doing things, if you see what I mean. If another company wanted to come along and make a game that had a similar visual style, one, wouldn't this restrict them being able to do that? And I'm not sure that's a good thing. But two, I'm not sure that trademarking it would actually restrict them as long as they don't use the HD-2D term, perhaps. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a trademark lawyer or anything like this. I don't know how deep this goes, whether it would actually stop people using that style of development. If it's going to stop people using that style of development, then I think I might have a bit of an issue with that, because actually that would stop people making some types of games, and I'm not sure that's a great idea. Anything that stops development or may restrict development is definitely a bad idea in my view. But
so what seems to be is, so it's all been filed at the moment. I'm looking at the World Intellectual Property Organization page for the trademark, and so the way it's being put is they're trademarking the name, but that name isn't necessarily, like, someone could do something similar, call it something different, and that should be fine. But I think what it means is that only Square Enix can make a game in that style and call it HD-2D. It's a bit like a cronut can only be called a cronut in one specific store in New York.
In which case, I haven't got any problem with it at all. And I actually think that would help them, because they can sell it. As Octopath Traveler's been successful, the HD-2D trademark could be put on other games that they make in that style, which could help sell those games, and that's good for them. But if it's not restricting anyone else from making similar types of games, but they can't put that HD-2D trademark on it, I haven't.
Then that's not the end of the world.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
I think, But you did glance off a good point, though, that, yeah, it could mean that they're making other games in this style, whether or not it's a sequel to Octopath Traveler, or whether it's, something entirely different, just in the same style, visually. We don't
That
know.
would be the way I would read it. It would suggest to me, why would they bother trademarking
They're planning
it
on doing something else with it, yeah.
Yeah, so...
I'd
yeah,
quite like to see something like a platformer with that style.
That would be cool, actually, yeah. I mean, you could create a whole series of different types of games that use that style, couldn't you? And
Yeah.
again, they would look lovely if you did it right, and presumably they know what they're doing, because Octopath Traveler looks good. And if they put the effort
it managed to shift 1 million units, so can't be doing that. Yeah,
isn't it the biggest selling third-party game on Switch?
It's certainly one of the biggest selling third parties on Switch. Yeah, there's only a few non-Nintendo games that have actually managed to do that, and Octopath is certainly one of them.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, I think like I say, with that one caveat about not wanting them to, affect other people being able to develop. And as you say, it seems like that's not the case. With just having the name as the trademark that they can use to show people, oh, this is another game in that style. If you like that style of game, here you go. Then I think that this really does suggest that they're going to be working on more games like this. Maybe one, maybe more than one. Who knows? And that can only be a good thing. I think that, with Octopath Traveler's success, there's a ready market out there for that type and style of game. I think people, would lap it up. As I say, I haven't played it yet. I'm not a great RPG player anyway, just because of the time it takes to play these games. But I definitely think that...
To be fair, I've got about 25 hours into Octopath Traveler, and I had to put it down because I had other things to do. And I've since gone, I really want to pick it back up, but it's so time-consuming that it's intimidating almost.
Yeah, and I get that all the time with games that I like, and I want to play more of. But if you've got limited time, and any game that if you sit down and you spend an hour on and you've barely got into it, then as you say, I personally, I get intimidated by games like that these days, and I just have to say, look, I want to play something that's going to be a bit shorter and a bit easier to get into. Not because I think they're bad games. I don't. I would love to play them. It's just, as you said earlier on, life. I've been playing life. There's other things to do in the world, and unfortunately, you can't spend your entire life in the virtual world, much as we might like to sometimes.
Not. Yeah, I'm gonna say I'd very much like to sometimes, but yeah. Unfortunately, that we have not reached the singularity yet of technology and people, but one day maybe.
Maybe, yeah. I was talking to a guy about that the other day, actually, and saying I'd love to see what it's going to be like in 1,000 years' time, where we'll be, assuming we're still here, of course.
Well, yeah. Let's not get into that, though.
That's a whole nother video.
Yeah, that's a whole nother can of worms, that is. So, let's move on from this story, because there wasn't really much else to talk about on it. I just think it's quite a nice little interesting thing to bring up. But yeah, let's move on to the final story of the show. Let's talk about something positive that someone has done, because that's nice. And then we'll talk about how someone decided to try and piss all over it and failed miserably. Which is technically even more positive, which is great. So, there is a YouTuber, Twitch person called Hbomberguy. And he decided that he wanted to raise some money for charity. The charity he chose was Mermaids, a charity devoted to transgender people. And if you're triggered by the phrase transgender, 1, I'd like you to go away. 2, probably just don't bother listening to this. It's not for you. Anyway, so in an attempt to raise money for this charity, he decided he was going to stream himself completing Donkey Kong 64, which he had never done. And I'm very, very pleased by this. It's one of those lovely moments. It's the same as when you have things like Awesome Games Done Quick, when they raise loads of money for charity. He has managed to raise at the biggest figure at the time of writing $340,000 for this charity, which is amazing.
That's immense, isn't it?
I know.
It's an awful lot of money.
It's so good. It's one of those things that really brings your faith back in humanity, doesn't it?
Wasn't his initial target a lot low? Wasn't it like, I don't know, $5,000 or something?
Not even that. The initial target he set himself was $500.
You could describe
I think
this
he
guy
might
as
have I think he might have exceeded that. Yeah. I love seeing things like this. I remember a few years ago, Nerdcubed, the YouTuber, did a stream for Red Nose Day, and they ended up getting a shit ton of money for it. Like I think it's about 20 odd grand, which, you know,
bloody hell.
It's not much in comparison to this, but that's still like a lot of money to have raised in a stream to go, you know, towards a good cause.
Yeah. And, you know, I have some slight issues with charity per se, just the idea of charity. And I think that a lot of the time we shouldn't be relying on charity to provide services for people. But with that caveat aside, you know, we live in the world we live in, and sometimes charity is necessary. And so when somebody does something like this...
Well, they shouldn't have to exist. They sometimes do have to exist. And you know, 99% of them are doing it for a good cause. So it's fine.
And in a situation like this as well, where you've got, you know, a charity for trans people, let's be honest, we're in a world where there are a lot of bigots out there. And so being able to raise money for something like that isn't always necessarily going to be easy as raising money for, say, something like cancer research. Yeah. And so
for instance, this charity had a national lottery grant. They were selected for it, and then quite a few people decided that they were, quote, an aggressive group, and the National Lottery have taken a review of the grant. So at the moment, that's £500,000 worth of funding that they were going to have and currently don't have.
This is interesting for me because I was trying to wrap my brain around this idea of them being an aggressive charity. And, you know, I know that there are, and I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole on this one because it can get very muddy. And I haven't had an awful lot of experience dealing with transgender people. And so my knowledge is quite limited. Having said that, this reminds me to some extent of what went on during the 80s with gay people and this idea of you're trying to promote gayness. Does that make sense? There were people during the 80s.
That's what the people that are getting annoyed about this are seeming to think. It's like they're pushing their agenda onto us.
And I don't know an awful lot about mermaids, but it would seem to me that I started very briefly this morning. I did a little bit of reading around this, and I looked at the NHS website talking about advice for trans people and for trans kids as well. That's one area where I'm a bit wary. The idea of trans kids, not necessarily because I think there aren't kids who identify as a different gender.
I do think it's a bit more like there's room to maneuver at that point because your personality is still forming. So something you might think when you're 9, you might not necessarily think when you're even 10 or 11. So
that's exactly where I'm coming from.
So
I think if we
encourage them to be thinking what they want to think, but at the same time, it depends what decisions you're trying to push them to make as to how much I agree with you.
Yeah, no, I think, either way, I think that if we are in an, let's for a moment, let's be in a utopia. Let's just imagine we're in a utopia. And
Oh,
I had
that'd
a
be nice.
conversation. I
Donald
I used
Trump's
to
dead!
belong.
Hooray!
Yeah, I did say
I'm
utopia.
joking.
Didn't
I
So,
don't wish him dead. I just don't want him in power.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Just get rid of him. Let him do his own thing, but not influence the rest of us.
Yes.
But
anyway, carry on.
yeah, going back to the point of this, that I've lost my train of thought. What was I saying? When you've got a kid, and that's what I was saying. When you've got a situation where, say, you're in this utopian environment where you can have a situation where people can freely decide whatever point they are in their life, their gender, who they are attracted to, and it's open and people can talk about it freely, and there's no prejudice towards people. In an environment like that, then kids can kind of chop and change on a daily basis, if you like, and there's no issue, because people are like, oh, you want to be a girl today, you want to be a boy today, that's up to you. Sorry, I've got to get the bloody doorbell. Sorry about this, Count. Bear with me a second.
Okay. Intermission.
Sorry about that. I was saying, in an environment where it's kind of fluid, and people can decide their gender a lot more easily, then it's not such an issue. But the world we live in at the moment, it's not that kind of world, and so where we have to be careful both ways, that we're not, as adults, pushing our ideas.
We're
on
not
our
telling
kids.
them to not be a thing, but we're also not telling them to be a thing, because it is.
Exactly.
Well, when it comes to when it comes to things like your personality and your behaviors, fine. Let them do what they want. As long as they're not being arseholes, that's fine. But when it comes to things like they actually want to start transitioning, that's where we need to start being careful with younger people. We don't want to push them into it where they might regret it. We don't want to tell them they can't do it in a case
Precisely.
where, they might, really want to. It's one of those things. I really try to not say it's either good or bad, because it is incredibly sensitive as a subject, and it is so dependent on an individual situation that you can't generalize it.
And you've hit the nail on the head there, the individual's situation. And it should be driven by the child, and the parent, as ever, I think, with parents, as long as with the sort of one caveat of, you don't want your child doing anything that is harmful to them. And I'm not talking specifically about transgender issues here. I'm talking generally. You don't want your child to do anything harmful to themselves. So you don't want them engaging in self-harm. You don't want them taking drugs. All the rest of it. But if it's driven by the child and it's not driven by the adult one way or another, then as a society, we have to be sympathetic towards that child, and we have to let that child explore who they are and find out who they're going to be as an adult. And if we're putting any restrictions on that, whether it be relating to gender or their political views, their religious views, all these kind of things, then we're failing as adults, both as individual parents and as a society. That's the way I see it anyway.
I think that's pretty much, that's a decent enough take on it. So, anyway, this charity, so, are you aware of Graham Linehan then?
Yeah, I recognise the name, but I had to look it up. And
he wrote Father Ted and the IT Crowd. They are both very funny shows. I quite like both of them. Unfortunately, though, he is also very anti-trans, and he used to be claiming that he wasn't. Like, he used to sort of... it's slowly got worse over particularly the last 5 years. It's got a lot worse, and he's very much like shouting that trans people are awful and everything like that. He's become a very aggressive person about it, and it's kind of depressing.
Is it the kind of I'm not a racist but argument?
It used to be, but now he's given up on that pretense, and it's just getting worse. But he found out this this thing was happening, and he has spent the last week going off on one on Twitter, like apoplectic, going off on one about this issue. And it's quite sad to see, unfortunately. I really hate it.
Do you think he's...
Because he's an anus. That's why.
Well, do you think maybe he's having some sort of mental break or something? I mean, because if somebody is getting so wound up about something like that, I always have to ask the question, why? Why is it... What does it matter to you what someone else is doing?
It's not something that affects... I know, it's not affecting him, is it? But yeah. Anyway, in quite a funny thing, though, to, basically, so he was getting really angry about this on Twitter. He was, moaning about it and everything. And what's quite funny, viewers then took to Twitter and started using the hashtag Thanks Graham, because they were mocking him, promoting the stream, and they were like, the funny thing is, a lot of people who probably wouldn't have heard about this stream heard about it because Graham Linehan started moaning about it.
Brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, that's pretty great. I like that. So yeah, I think that's worked out great. I'm happy with that. I like that a lot. So yeah. But the great thing about this stream, though, it wasn't just Hbomberguy. He actually had a load of guests come on and help out with it. Jim Sterling came in and helped out for a bit. He even got people like John Romero to come on, one of the co-creators of Doom. Because, of course. I
saw that, yeah.
They actually had the composer Grant Kirkhope, who voiced Donkey Kong in Donkey Kong 64, leave a special voice message.
Oh yeah, what did he say? He said that it's actually written down somewhere on the thing, something what he actually said. I can't find it.
I can't find it either. But yeah, he actually left a voice message for the stream, and that's pretty great. Apparently, they had the US Congresswoman, the one that everyone was going on about like the last month or so, because she's a millennial Congresswoman. I think that's the right one. Yeah, Alexandra Cortez, Cortez.
Cortez, yeah, that's
the one that's the one that's she's 29 and she's representing New York, or part of New York City, somewhere like that.
Cool. I don't know very much about her, but yeah,
I've heard good things about her. She annoys hardline Republicans, and that kind of gets her on my side.
Oh well, she gets a thumbs up from me then in that case. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, there was a lot of cool guests to come on that stream, and it was for a really good cause. The final time for completion was 57 hours, 48 minutes, and 32 seconds. Wow.
Jesus, the guy must have been shattered.
Oh, yeah. That's a lot of time. That's so much. Props to him, though, for keeping it up for that long. Jeez, that's madness.
Yeah, there's no way I could have done that. I can barely manage just playing a game for about an hour. I get tired.
Yeah.
Mind you, I've got a good reason for that. There's reasons why I get tired. But yeah, that's pretty epic, isn't it? That's props to that guy. Jesus.
Yeah, I love that so much. I love everything about that. I think that's done. That's such a good thing that's happened, and it's one of those things that really does just get you, like it restores your faith in this community, because you see a lot of toxic things, you see a lot of toxic people, and then you see things like this that just make you happy.
Can I say something though? I've been thinking about this quite a lot, and there's all this stuff about the gaming community being toxic and the internet being toxic and stuff. And I think, do you know what? I think that, there's a few people who step over the line where they wouldn't maybe in the real world.
Yeah.
And I think people
I
behave
think by and large,
like arses.
most people are fine.
Yeah, and I think even online...
It's a case
even
of the vocal minority.
Yeah, and do they ever make up for it by being extremely vocal?
99% of people in this community are fine. But the toxic ones that I mentioned are the incredibly vocal 1%.
Yeah. And like I say, there's a thing I saw, and it was something along the lines of your intellect is disproportionately related to, I'm getting it wrong, but it's roughly along these lines. Your intellect is inversely proportional to the noises you make, the amount of noise you make. And so you get these people, they shout and they shout, but the louder they shout, the more they give away that they're actually, not
ill-informed and idiots. Yes.
Yeah,
but then
exactly.
What does that say about us who are shouting on the internet every day on YouTube?
Yeah, well, that did occur to me as I was saying it, and I'm thinking, wow, I've never claimed to be any great intellect, to be honest. So make of that what you will.
Yeah, you might think I'm very intelligent. Some people seem to. I don't know why, but whatever. Go for your life.
There's the other thing as well, is that it's the bell curve, isn't it? We all fit in. Most of us are average. Let's be honest. We all fit in the average, in the bell. And then you get the few outliers who are extremely clever, and you get the few outliers who are
Stephen
morons.
Hawking.
So you got the Stephen Hawkins of the world, and you've got probably the people
Alex
who are
Joneses.
doing all the real, yes, exactly, the real shouting on the internet, calling everybody, for what I don't know what you can say about people like Alex Jones. Apart from I saw somebody trying to claim. Say again, sorry?
The less, the better, generally.
Yes, quite, yeah. Although, getting off subject slightly, I still, I'm of the opinion that I think that most people probably could see through him. And I'm of the opinion that...
it's the vocal minority, again, that just sort of attached to those people. Yeah.
And the thing is, they're going to attach to that kind of thing regardless, and in a way, I think stuff like that, like with this story, actually, the guy's come out and he's made all these noises, and what's the result been? He's made himself look like an arse, and the other guy's raised loads of money. And we're sitting here talking about it, and we're not talking about what a great guy he is, we're talking about what a prat he is, and how the guy who's raised the money has done a good thing. So I think if you shine a light on things, and you air things in a public forum, and you have a level playing field, and I think that's really important, that there's a level playing field, and the good ideas in that circumstance will win out ultimately. It's only when you restrict those ideas and you limit what the way people can say things. If you look at Nick Griffin when he went on Question Time, what's Nick Griffin doing now?
I forgot that he existed.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
shit. The guy hung himself. Give him enough rope, and he hung himself. He showed himself up to be exactly what he was, and the only people who still support him are the people who would support him anyway, because they are of the same mindset as him. And the rest of us, we're like, yeah, right, mate, sling your hook. You've shown us what you are. But,
Yes, let's get off that topic.
I think the takeaway from this, though, is it was a positive.
The takeaway from this, lots of positive things happened. It was a great stream. Really amazing endurance test, 57 hours. And a lot of money has been raised for what most people would probably consider to be a pretty damn good charity. And let's leave on that positive note, that story behind, and we will wrap up the show. That brings us then to the end of this episode of the GameCast NewsCast, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to like, subscribe, and share whatever you fancy to this channel. Go visit Joe Chip's channel as well. I will endeavour to link that in the description, although I will most likely forget, but I will try my best. And
I'll remind you.
I'm terrible. I never remember to do those kinds of things. I'm awful. But yes, thank you, Joe, for joining me today. It was good of you to come on.
No worries. I hope I didn't talk your ears off.
No, it's fine. We're both did about the same amount of talking, probably. Yeah, go visit Joe Chip's channel. I'm on there very occasionally, but he does a lot of hardware reviews and opinion pieces, most of which are good.
You're entitled to disagree with me.
Exactly. And stay tuned, though, to GameCast as well for news, reviews, and podcasts. Lots of great content, and it's all coming up. All original, as we've stated before. There's original content soon, please. Just stay with us. And yes, that's that. Thanks very much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye. Shall I turn off now?